Hey guys, it's Mooty here, and today we have a live overused battle against one of my Twitter followers, and today I will be using a team. I actually added in a screen so you guys can see the teams I'm using because that was like one of the most requested things for me to do, which it makes sense, otherwise you guys don't really know what I'm running, but yeah, you could see camera unavailable because I didn't set that up, but that's my team for today. It's a team specifically that I made for the suspect test ladder of Greninja, so it's designed for that metagame. Anyway, I think on his team, Pokemon that I can see as a threat is Charizard. Well, it could be either Y or X. I've seen variations of both. Mamoswine could set up the Stealth Rocks. It seems like the most likely thing. And then he's got two evolutions on it too. I guess Jolteon. The thing is, Jolteon I don't think is that much of a problem. I carry Rotom on my team. And then I may want to grab a photo of this before I start. But I think that either way, my Lopunny, however you guys want to pronounce it, tends to be the Pokemon which ends up being my win condition. Like, if I can get the bulky stuff like Cresselia out of the way, then it's going to be a lot easier for my Lopunny to kind of like put holes in his team, especially in like the Umbreon, the Crobat because I carry the ice move, in the Mamoswine because I carry the high jump kick, and then also kind of deals with the Charizard depending on what set it is. But on that note, I also want to set up Stealth Rocks. Now, because I think he's going to lead off with Mamoswine, I'm going to lead off with, I accidentally hit the summary button, I'm going to lead off with my Rotom, and then if he leads off with like anything else, I Volt Switch out. If he leads off with any other physical attacker, I can burn it. So Rotom is all around a pretty good lead to have, just because he's really versatile. And if the lead matchup isn't favorable enough and you don't really feel threatened out, then it's a really good opportunity for you to just Volt Switch out, get some damage off on it, break any potential focus sashes on the leads, and then just go from there. So he leads off with his Crobat, in which case Crobat can carry Taunt. It carries Taunt, Brave Bird, or Acrobatics if it has some sort of item on it, like Focus Sash, they might carry that, but it's not as common as Brave Bird. They can also carry stuff like Roost, Super Fang, so my best option here is to Volt Switch out. If he wants to switch into Mamoswine right here for the U-turn, then I could still just go for a Hydro Pump on the following turn, because there's no way that Mamoswine threatens me, because I resist the Ice type attack, and then I'm also immune to Ground. So there's really no reason for him to go into Mamoswine, but he does go into Jolteon, which can carry Volt Absorb. But like I said, even Jolteon isn't really a problem, because what I think it might do is either just T-Ball or Volt Switch out. But since since Rotom happens to be more of a specially defensive Pokemon anyway, I might as well go for the Hydro Pump, try and get damage off on it, and then I actually should have, I don't have my team preview out, which I really should have, and seen what else he has on his team. The only thing that, actually no, he doesn't have any water resist. The only thing he has is, I guess, Cresselia, because it's bulky, so I may as well go for the Hydro Pump. Unless he carries Hidden Power Grass, even that shouldn't kill me. But he goes for the Ice, which probably expecting me to switch, but honestly I really have no reason to. I might as well get damage off on this thing because Jolteon is pretty frail, although it does a little bit over half. Now it may end up as min-max damage, so there's still a chance it can KO. I don't know because I don't have damage calcs on me right now, but he ends up withdrawing. Like I said, he doesn't exactly have a safe switch into water type attacks except for Cresselia, and Cresselia is really just there to be annoying. So I can get no damage off on that because Cresselia is just that bulky. Now with Cresselia, I know that it can carry things like Ice Beam, it can carry things like Psychic, Moonblast, and that kind of stuff, so I don't really, I would bring in Landorus, knock it off, or U-turn out, get damage off on it, but I think I could also, if I really wanted to right now, I could just go for a Willow, get some residual damage on it with Burn, because honestly it can't really threaten me, and I don't really see this thing as being like a Trick Room setter or anything else, because the rest of his team is pretty fast, so I think I'm just going to want to Willow this thing, get some residual damage off on it, because otherwise it's going to be just really annoying to take out and at least negate. I think he had Leftovers, so it would negate the Leftovers recovery, so it carries Light Screen on it. Wouldn't be surprised if he carried Reflect, but It is going to make things annoying, except I still carry defog Latios, so the screens aren't going to be that bad. And really quickly, yeah, he carries light clay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to volt switch out. Because he carries screen, now he's probably going to carry screens, and he didn't set up the reflect. So I'm thinking maybe he doesn't have reflect, maybe it just carries light screen, in which case it'll be light screen, at least have moonlight, and then have 2 attacking moves between psychic, moonblast, and ice beam, unless he has some statuses. But like, once again, the Jolteon, because he was locked into HP ice, I have to wonder if he's something like Specs, and this Rotom is giving him a lot of problems. Now, I could predict here and switch into Landorus, but I don't know if he'd predict that. Another thing that I could go into, like, another thing I should watch out for is the HP Fire, because I don't really know which it could still be Fire if they even would carry that, and then that way I'd have to watch out with the Ferrothorn. But I think I'm gonna go into Landorus. It might be risky, but going into Landorus, especially because he still has light screens up, maybe he's gonna predict me to stay in because he knows that this Rotom is a really big problem to his team, as he doesn't have any good water switch-ins. And this time, if he goes for HP Ice, which is what they usually carry, no, he goes for the Volt Switch. But I think because of the way that he switched out last time, he is choiced in some way. So I think right here, just going for the U-turn is fine, because he's going to withdraw. I don't think he'd go into Cresselia, but if on the off, no, he goes into Crobat, which is fine. And if he goes into Crobat, the easiest thing I could do is try and go into something that gives him issues, in this case, Rotom, and try and stall out the light screen. Now, the one biggest problem I've had with this team is the fact that I don't have a Taunter. Now, because Crobat can also carry U-turn, I don't want to go into Latios, obviously. I'm just trying to think of good switch-ins, because Crobat can also carry a taunt, so Ferrothorn may not really be a good switch-in. I think the best switch-in right now would be the Rotom, and just because it does give his team issues. So I'm gonna go into the Rotom here. Stealth Rocks aren't up yet, so I'm really happy because I'm gonna go in here. I'm still gonna be at full. Rotom's pretty healthy, and then whatever he wants to go for, whether it's U-turn again and go into Jolteon, is fine with me. Another thing that I could do is Willow, but I don't really think it's the best option right now. So Hydro Pump is probably the best option. Like, he's gonna go for the U-turn. I don't know if he's gonna want to go into Jolteon again, because that's what he's been doing this entire time, and then he's gonna put himself at risk of getting, I think even if he went into Jolteon, he'd put himself at risk of getting 2-hit KO'd, but I'm not entirely sure, because I think he's at over half now. But he goes into Umbreon now, and he avoids the attack, which is whatever, alright, because light screen was up. But I'm just thinking, Umbreon usually have Foul Play, Toxic, maybe even Protect on top of that. So because they have the potential of carrying Protect, I do have to watch out with Umbreon. And what I could just do is go for Volt Switch, really. It's not going to do a lot, obviously, but it's just the small chip damage that really matters. And at this point, we're just stalling out the screens. And what I can go into is, like, I could go into Lopunny, but at the same time, I could also go into Ferrothorn and get my rocks up, because he's doing a lot of switching. He's not going to appreciate rocks at all. And if he wants to, he might go into Crobat, I'm thinking, because of the defog, in which case that'd be really annoying, and there's nothing that I could really do about it except maybe try and bring in something that Crobat wouldn't want to deal with. But because Light Screener is up, the only Pokemon that I could bring in that doesn't want to deal with Crobat would be the Rotom. But because Light Screen is up, there's really no issue. There's no point in me doing that. So I was thinking I'm thinking that Crobat wants to come in, so there's no point in me going for Stealth Rocks just to kind of have him defog them away, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go for the Leech Seed, predicting Crobat to come in, and then at the very least, he's not going to want to stay in. And there's the Crobat, which kind of, it proves, especially because I think the amount of damage that the other attacks I was doing did, and he's carrying leftovers on top of that, means that he's bulky, so at least, unless I missed, that's what happens when you don't pay attention. But either way, might as well go into Landorus right now, get it into, excuse me, I can get an Intimidate off, and then I can end up either U-turning out, but I mean, he's not going to, unless he goes for a U-turn here, he's not going to want to stay in, but he goes for the taunt, which is fine. I know, especially because he carries U-turn, taunt. He still has the potential of carrying like something like Roost or Defog. I'm not entirely sure yet, but because he carries Charizard, I wouldn't be surprised that he carries Defog on something. So I don't know if he's going to want to stay in and risk getting hit by a Stone Edge, but another good thing that I can do, because this thing doesn't threaten me at all, is just go for a knockoff on something. Whatever he wants to do, at least I can get some damage off on this thing, and then negate the fact that he's going to get some leftovers recovery back. And it depends on what he goes into. Now, like, I'm locked into a knockoff. If he goes into Jolteon, obviously he has HP Ice. He can outspeed me. He goes into Charizard here, which is going to be a slight problem. But I do have some things that outspeed it. Like I said, like, Rotom would be decent. But if this is Charizard Y and he just goes for a Solar Beam, then I really, really, really don't want to take that. Latios, I guess, would be another decent option. Just looking at his team, though, he's got Mamoswine as a physical attacker, Crobat as a physical attacker, Jolteon as a special attacker, and then he's got two supportive Pokemon in Cresselia and Umbreon. But I'm still not sure, because it's just that I'm thinking in terms of the way he brings it in. But at the very least, if he happens to be a Charizard X and sets up a Dragon Dance, then I am going to have to bring in Landorus, and I'm going to have to sack something off probably in the process. But there's Dragon Dance, unless he's not Mega, but he just chose not to Mega here. Unless he was predicting me to go for the Earthquake, expecting it to be that. Either way, I know that he's gonna want to attack the Latios. I could either go into Landorus, or I could bait him into Dragon Clawing my Ferrothorn, get some damage off on that through Iron Barb's Rocky Helmet. Because he's going to want to attack this thing. This thing threatens him way too much for him not to attack it, and I don't really feel like sacking Latios off. However, I think he's going to go... Actually, at the same time, no. I don't know why I'm contemplating so much when I just have a Clefable here with Unaware. Now, the Clefable I'm using right here isn't the Clefable that I have on my team. The Clefable I have on my team has Moonblast and Calm Mind. So that's kind of an issue, because the one I'm running here has Wish, Protect, Moonblast, and I think Aromatherapy or something. So at least Moonblast is gonna hit him with neutral. I don't know what, I completely for some reason forgot that the freaking that did a lot. Moonblast isn't even gonna do enough to that, but obviously he's going to go for another Flare Blitz after that. The thing is whether or not I need to keep Clefable around, since it's not my Calm Minding set, and since like the only thing I guess it would really be useful against is the Umbreon. I'm better off sacking off Clefable, bringing in Lopunny, and then just going for a Fake Out to kill it. well, Fake Out wouldn't kill it at that range, but other than that, unless he just wants to go for the roost, but I really don't see why he'd want to go for a roost. Either way, he's going to give himself a lot of recoil or switch out, which works too, but he's going to go into Crobat here. The thing with Crobat is that I don't know a lot about this thing's moveset. I just know it carries U-turn and roost. And taunt. U-turn. Nah, I meant U-turn and taunt. I don't know why I said roost. U-turn and taunt. Obviously, I should be scared of him hitting me with a poison type attack. But the thing is that not a lot of them carry it. And at the same time, because Charizard is already weakened, Clefable kind of did its job, honestly. Like, it kind of did its job. Now, I don't know if he's just going to want to taunt me or just roost or do what. But the best thing that I could do right now, I think, is just go into Landorus, get an Intimidate off, and at least apply more pressure onto his team. And threaten him out with another Stone Edge. Especially because I think that it's not going to want to bring in stuff like Charizard. Like, the best thing you may want to bring in would be an Umbreon, and even that's kind of iffy. But I think right here he's going to go for a roost. No, he just goes for a U-turn, which is fine too. So, more likely than not, I'm going to have switch advantage in whatever he wants to bring in. So I just go for a U-turn. I know some people get annoyed by the U-turn, but the fact of the matter is U-turn is a really good move that just provides really good pivot opportunities. So, Mamoswine comes in, and obviously I need Landorus. Like, I need Landorus just on the off chance that Charizard gets another chance to Dragon Dance or something silly like that. But because I still have Rotom, there's really no reason for me not to go into Rotom when it just pretty much counters this thing. And I'm not going to take a lot of damage from, like, whether it's Ice Shard or whatever. But he went and predicted and went for the Superpower, which still does not do a lot. So I'm not scared of that. And now that he lowered his attack, another one isn't going to do enough to kill me. So whether or not he's going to switch into something else, I don't know. But what I do know is that I could go for another Hydro Pump. If he wants to go into Cresselia, then that's just going to give me an opportunity to get my health back up. And it's because Cresselia's HP is so high, I can Pain Split regardless of what he does here and still get a good enough amount of health back. Like, it's down to half, which also, he's going to probably want to either set up another light screen or get his health back up. It'll be a lot easier for me to deal with this thing, first off, if I knock off the Light Clay that he's carrying. If I had Taunt, it would also be easier, but that's one of the flaws on this team as well. Or if I get another chance to get Latios in, I could go for a Willow because he's not going to want to take the residual damage there. But there's also the fact that I might miss. I'm just thinking because I outspeed it, there's no point in me going for Pain Split, so I may as well go for a Willow. And he withdraws Cresselia, maybe expecting the... No, it goes into Umbreon, but instead I get a nice Willow on the Umbreon. Never mind, it just avoids the attack, but he carried the Heal Bell anyway, so I guess it just cuts out a turn for us where I would have Volt Switched, and he would have gone for the Heal Bell. Now, Umbreon 2 is another Pokemon with a high attack, so I might as well Pain Split and get some health back, especially because this Rotom is one of the most useful things for his team right now. So he goes for the Wish, and now here is where I'm like, well, the Charizard might come in, and I don't want to deal with the Charizard at all because it's a huge threat. And in this case, by no means do I want that Charizard to get that Wish off, so I am forced to go for the Hydro Pump. Whether he decides to stay in with Umbreon is fine with me at that point, but my goal is to make sure that Charizard does not get the Wish. But I guess Jolteon getting it too is whatever, because it's not really that big of a deal if Jolteon gets a Wish, honestly. Brings him back up to full. So right now, I already know this battle is super long, but once... I feel like I just haven't had a chance to get Lopunny out, which is a huge issue. And I don't know, it comes down to whether or not he's going to predict me to stay in with Rotom or not. And that's one of the biggest things. So I'm also running out of Hydro Pumps, which is a problem. The best thing I think that I could do, assuming he may want to Volt Switch, is Willow. I mean, on the off chance he wants to go into, I don't know, Cresselia again, it would be useful to get another, a bit more residual damage off on him. So I'm gonna go for the Willow over there as he Volt Switches. If he goes into, this is a lot. I just, at that point, I think he specs, but I don't exactly know the damage calcs on Jolteon, so I'm just taking a hint because we already know that he's choiced in some way. So at least we'll get some residual damage off with Cresselia, which it does happen to be a lot more if I instead go for the burn as opposed to like going for something like Hydro Pump. So either he's going to be forced to go for something like Moonlight here because he doesn't want to let this Cresselia go to waste, especially because he has the screens up, but either he's going to go for Moonlight or he's going to let himself take the burn. In which case, a good opportunity would be for me to go into Landorus at least, because it's the thing that I have that's going to apply the most pressure to this thing and make him not want to stay in. And from there, it just depends on what he does. If he wants to stay in and get the Moonlight off or whatever and gain back his health, he's not going to want to stay in. And if anything, he's going to want to switch out, maybe into something like Crobat, if I had to take a guess, or Umbreon. Either way, I could also go for a U-turn because I really don't think Cresselia has any business staying in here. And if anything, Umbreon is going to want to come in, maybe take the knockoff that he's expecting, or Crobat. Crobat works as well, although the knockoff would have done more to Crobat. But this is also a really good opportunity for me to get in my Lopunny and get my Mega out. And it's also going to mean that eventually, now, I can finally set up Stealth Rocks. Because this thing won't be in the way to taunt me, or I won't have to worry about Defog. And I also don't think any of his Pokemon carry Defog at this point. So let's see. I'm going to Mega, obviously, and then I'm just going to Fake Out. There's really no reason for me not to Fake Out. I mean, although I'm not sure if I outspeed this thing naturally or not. But he does go into the Umbreon. Now, the Umbreon probably has Protect. And at the same time, I don't think that it could do much to me because we already know it has Wish. So the chance of it having Protect is really, really, really likely. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay in and I'm going to return so that he can use his Protect up, and that way I'm free to high jump kick. Now the only thing I have to be scared of is 1, missing, and 2, him getting a double Protect off if that's what he's going for. But either way, if I at least get 1 high jump kick off, I am sitting in a pretty good spot, at least with this thing. It's going to, in other situations, it would have taken it out. I don't know, he's probably going to want to try and sack it off, seeing as that he's going to sack off Crobat. I just have to hope that I don't miss, which is perfect, and that's going to take the Crobat out. So that's one annoying bulky thing that I don't have to deal with. And believe it or not, that it was a bit more annoying to deal with than I would have hoped. But he does go into Cresselia now. I obviously have to worry about the Psychic. And if he carries something like Reflect. Now, he hasn't shown Reflect. He's only shown to carry Light Screen so far and Moonlight. And the good thing is that now he's going to stay burnt, which is just going to kind of be some nice extra damage to get off on this thing because it's annoying. But what I can do is I can also take this as an opportunity to heal up Clefable. And because I do have, well, actually, I don't have to worry about him wish passing to Charizard anymore. But he does show that he has Reflect, in which case I think his last slot is only going to be Psychic, and that way Landorus doesn't have to worry about him having Ice Beam or anything, and I can come in on it a lot safer that way. And I'm going to use this chance, just go for a Wish, because Clefable, like I said, is a really good asset to have against the Charizard. If the Charizard wants to come in, then fine. But I'm just thinking about what else may want to come in against this thing now that the Crobat is gone. Because really, there's nothing else. And at that point, seeing how much Cresselia got burned, he's gonna want to go for the Moonlight, which gives Latios a free switch in. Now, if this thing's only filler attack happens to be Ice Beam, I can take an Ice Beam, but it's at least gonna put me in a spot where I can get rid of both of his screens. Okay, so he carries Thunder Wave, which honestly is not that bad. I know it sounds weird, but it's not that bad. At least I know that I will be getting a defog off, because I carried defog on this thing, and before I don't know, but I do. I carried defog on this thing, and at that point defog also gets rid of screens. And that's why screens also aren't that useful anymore with the new boost that the defog got. So at the very least, we'll get rid of the screens. It'll force him to set them up again as well. And it's just another 2 turns he may have to waste, in which case I know for a fact now, because he carries Thunder Wave, that the best switch in, that the best thing that I can go into is Landorus without any problems against this thing. I can threaten him with knockoff, and the thing that I would be scared of right now would be Jolteon, but he still has Umbreon. For some reason, my mind just thought, hey, Umbreon is dead, when it's not. But I mistake the Crobat for the Umbreon being dead, but it's just kind of being able to wear down the bulky walls that he has on his team, and one way for me to do it now is to at least U-turn the Umbreon. It will do a decent amount, which is what I'm going for at this point. If he's going to wish or something annoying like that, then fine, but I really have no reason not to U-turn. If he wants to protect to get some HP back, that's fine. I'm still going to U-turn because I'm locked into it and I'm choice scarfed. And it's a matter of like what he wants to bring in, because I don't think anything resists U-turn on his team after Crobat was done. So at the very least, if he wants to go for Wish after that, granted it will be annoying, but I just have to make sure that I apply enough pressure to his team where he's not going to want to try to save the Charizard is what I'm worried about. Because the Charizard's the most annoying thing. And even if I set up rocks, it would be annoying to deal with. So, if he goes for Wish, the best thing I could do is go into my Lopunny, and then Lopunny, I don't know what you guys call it. I'm probably going to get a lot of comments on how I'm saying it wrong, but I can go into this. He's going to go for a Wish. Now, Protect is obvious, but I don't feel the need to risk it. What I'd be scared of even more would be the Charizard. On the off chance he wants to Protect here, I know I did this once before, but I am being cautious depending on what he's going to go into here. He's going to go into Cresselia, which is also really, really annoying. I know it's going to take the Wish well enough, unfortunately, but there's honestly nothing else I could do. And the only solace I really have here is knowing that I can go into Landorus safely and knock this thing off. I can also knock off literally any other Pokemon, because honestly, if Jolteon came in, I don't know if I honestly want to see that thing knocked off, because that's the only thing that's been it's been beneficial for me for it to not get knocked off. So here, I'm just going to knock off. It's in my best interest to just knock off. If he goes into Umbreon, he loses his leftovers. At least that's a good thing, because Umbreon is also really, really annoying to deal with. Mamoswine is fine. I have a feeling this thing is carrying some sort of attack boosting item. Choice Scarf. Okay, that's even better. Now, I could go into Rotom, but I need to carry Landorus around because it's going to be the easiest way for me to deal with the Cresselia, because the Cresselia is bulky. Granted, it's weakened now, but I can't take any chances of it restoring health through Wish or something annoying like that. And what I could do, I could go into something like Clefable, but I don't think it would be worth it, honestly. I could go into the Rotom again. But it's whether or not he chooses to go for the superpower, or if he wants to predict and just go for the ice, because now he has a lot more room to make a mistake. He could go for the ice shard and then go for the superpower, assuming that he still outspeeds me because he's not locked into one attack. So that was the best thing I could have done. Now, obviously, I could just go for the Hydro Pump. Like, I just need to get damage off on this thing, and a Hydro Pump would kill it. I don't think that superpower, judging from the amount of damage it did the first time, would kill. Wow, it left me at 1 HP. I wasn't expecting to live with that little, but and that Hydro Pump should take out the Mamoswine, so that's one less thing that I have to deal with. And then what I really wouldn't want to see would be something like Cresselia, because it's just going to restore its health. Then we're going to go back to Landorus, really, and that whole thing all over again. But slowly taking down his walls, which is good. Jolteon coming in, he's probably just going to go for an HP Ice, but at this point I think that Rotom is going to have to be fodder. So it doesn't matter what I go for, but I'm just going for a Pain Split. Rotom is fodder either way, and he's going to go for a Shadow Ball. So right now, all I need to do is go into Lopunny, and I know that I'm good because this thing is... I am pretty sure it's Choice Specs. Like, I'm pretty sure it's Choice Specs. So I'm going to go into my Lopunny here because I'm still part normal. I'm immune to it. So it's going to be a great chance for me to just get a return on something. I'm pretty sure nothing resists return here, and nothing wants to take a return. So I'm going to go for a return and hope that he switches out, because at this point, from the way he's been playing this thing, like, if he's not Choice Scarf then, or choiced in any way, and he just hits me with an attack, then I'll be surprised, and he played it extremely well. But at that point I kind of confirmed it, and I felt good going into it. But this is where Cresselia finally dies, because we just return it, and then Burn is going to take it out. And 2 returns would have taken it out before it could heal up. So that's another annoying wall down. What we still need to take care of is Umbreon. And then we got rid of the Mamo, got rid of the Crobat, we got rid of the Cresselia. We have a weakened Charizard. We have an Umbreon, which doesn't want to come in. Charizard's not going to want to come in either. If anything, Jolteon's going to come in here. Or Umbreon. Now, because I've predicted his Protect before, I almost want to just high jump kick here. If I take the damage, oh, he went for the Protect. I'm like, if I take the damage, I guess it's not that big of a deal. But the thing is, I was hoping that, hey, since the last 2 times I played this thing, I just went for the return. Maybe he'd get too comfortable and just go for the Wish or something like that. But this is where I'm just going to go for the high jump kick, because there's no reason for me not to. Nothing on his team resists it. Nothing on his team wants to take it. If I get to take out the Umbreon, I'll be extremely, extremely happy. If he's going to go for something like Double Protect, then that's just plain luck. Other than that, like, Charizard doesn't want to take it. Jolteon doesn't want to come in and take it. And then this thing is basically stuck in a corner where the only option this thing would have to do is go for the Double Protect and hope that I crash. So we'll see how it goes. And no, and I actually landed, or hope for the miss, because that would be another unfortunate thing that's happened way too many times, unfortunately. So I think now maybe he'll go into Jolteon. I was surprised he didn't go into Jolteon before, but it just, I have to see what he locks himself into. And if anything, I think it's going to be an electric type attack. But because I know this thing's moveset, I feel like I can go into Ferrothorn pretty safely. Assuming that he carries HP Ice and not HP Fire. If he carries HP Fire, then that's just awful misplay on my part. But it is what it is, I guess. But he goes for the T-Bolt, and I should take that fairly well. So now he has Charizard left, and I'm thinking he's not going to leave the Jolteon in anyway, because there's really no reason to. and he might think with Charizard he has kind of a chance to set up a Dragon Dance or something like that. Either way, I don't want the Charizard to come in, so the best thing I could do is go into Landorus, and from here I know that I can Earthquake the last two things that he has anyway. Assuming that the Jolteon doesn't outspeed me, but it probably does, so at least I get an Intimidate off on the Landorus, on the Charizard anyway. And from the looks of it, at least I'm kind of sure from here on I might have the game unless some weird stuff happens and I just lose my team. But I'm going for the Earthquake here because there's no reason for me not to and kill this thing off. This was probably, like I said, the biggest threat. Like, I've seen Charizard X rise on the suspect ladder, and that's what's made at least my Clefable a bit more useful, especially with the Unaware. But seeing the Dragon Dance is really, really scary because it has the potential to just sweep teams, so you really have to watch out for that. And at this point, because Jolteon's the last thing he has left, I'm going to go for the Earthquake. If he outspeeds me, then whatever, but like I said, I thought he was Specs, and that Earthquake should take it out, and that's going to be a good game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. It was a lot more competitive than I've had my other narrations be, but because I've been laddering on the suspect ladder and doing more OU, my games in general have been a lot more competitive, but it was a bit long, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you can leave a like. And as always, I love you guys very, very much, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and bye.